Welcome to the 5th of April. It's a Monday, April 5th, 2021, and thanks for listening and watching to the Day Weather Podcast today. Well, hopefully everyone got out and enjoyed the weekend weather. I don't know really how it could be any better for early April, and we're going to, in many areas, enjoy one more good day today. Most areas, not everybody, but one more good day before changes come. As a quick-moving Pacific cold front's going to bring some rain, some snow, and some thunder, and noticeably colder temperatures to the high plains and Rockies, beginning today up into Montana and Idaho and the Pacific Northwest, then moving into northern and western Wyoming early in the day, then the rest of the region overnight tonight and tomorrow. The northern areas will receive the heaviest precipitation. Now, there will be areas that really need it that will get the most out of this system, and we'll show you where that will be. It's going to be an active pattern with the northern tier of the United States, the northern plains and the northern Rockies impacted the most. The track of the storms is not through the Great Basin or the Four Corners area, but more north. And so that's going to get those areas, more northerly areas that need the moisture, are going to have the best chances of it. We're going to give you a sea surface temperature and a global temperature update, some interesting things going on that we want to show you that's all connected to La Nina and sea surface temperature conditions and our climate and weather. First of all, these are the temperatures yesterday compared to average across the United States. So you can see that it really wasn't only us that enjoyed the warmer Easter temperatures and conditions. It was a big chunk of North America with that desert air getting pumped in, bringing just really warm, almost summer-like temperature conditions to the high plains and Rockies. But you can see this pocket of colder air up here in British Columbia and Washington. That's the next system coming our way, bringing an end to our little warm-up party here that we enjoyed over the last few days. And this is it right here. We have a trough over eastern Oregon and Washington coming in. It doesn't look like much, but it is going to swing through and strengthen a little bit as it does. And here it is. You can see this. This is by noon tomorrow. We got a little upper low northwest of Craig and north of Vernal, Utah there. It's going to be swinging its way through here just like this. So always remember this. North of the low is where the heaviest precipitation is. And so that's going to be northern Wyoming, southern Montana, parts of South Dakota, North Dakota, and northern Nebraska. And you can see that right here. This is through Thursday afternoon. And you can see a nice swath of rain and snow here favoring the northern areas. Now we've got a wildfire that's burning in the Black Hills of South Dakota. It's going to get rained and snowed on. That's good news there. But you can see South Dakota and parts of North Dakota here and parts of northern Wyoming and southern Montana that really need the moisture, especially in this area here and especially into the Bighorn Basin here. This will be the best moisture in quite a while coming in. Yellowstone Park getting a good shot of moisture as well. But notice as you get into southern Wyoming and northern Colorado, there's going to be some showers and thunderstorms. But along and south of I-70, almost nothing. And along and south of I-80, just a little bit. And I think this is the trend we're going to see for the next couple of weeks. The northern areas going to be favored the most. If you convert the potential for snow, you can see there could be several inches of heavy wet snow into the Black Hills and the Pine Ridge of South Dakota and Nebraska here, lighter amounts elsewhere. And this is going to mainly be a wet snow on the grassy areas and the cold surfaces. Nice little shot of snow up here for the Bighorns and the Yellowstone Plateaus up there and the Tetons. Typical April snow, really, as we go through the next couple of days. As we go out further, this is by Thursday. The same low is now into the upper Midwest. We're going to see the Corn Belt in this area here get some much needed rain. Northern and northwest Iowa, eastern South Dakota, northeastern areas of Nebraska, southern Minnesota, they really need the rain, and they're going to get some out of this. This next frontal system comes in as we get into Thursday night and Friday. It's going to join up with that system and really not be much of a weather maker. This guy right here will come in over the weekend, and there it is. We're going to have a pretty good cold front come in Saturday night and Sunday. This will produce rain, snow, and thunder and bring colder temperatures. It will not blow up into a big April storm, at least as it looks like at the moment. So what we're seeing is a very typical April pattern in the sense up and down temperatures, fronts coming through, occasionally bringing rain and snow, but no slow-moving big spring storm but a couple of small ones coming on through. And again, it's going to be the northern areas from the northern and northwestern Corn Belt through the northern plains and northern Rockies in this area I'm highlighting that will have the best chance of measurable moisture. Along and south of I-80 and I-70, it's not going to be as much. As we go out further, this is next Wednesday, we have that low in the Midwest and Corn Belt, so this is where the most stormy, wet weather will be. But we start to see another area of high pressure and warmer weather by the middle of next week, pushing in from the west coast again. And this would bring a return of mild weather mid-April. We'll have to see. As we've said in earlier podcasts, as early as last week, long-range forecasts past 5 days this time of year are kind of, I don't want to say worthless, but you got to take it with a grain of salt. Other than to tell you it's going to be a typical April pattern with ups and downs and opportunities for precipitation. Now, I want to show you a couple of things with sea surface temperatures and global temperatures. We've shown you this over the last couple of months, that satellite-based temperatures, basically these are satellites that are sensing the temperature, not airports, not cities. The satellites are measuring the temperature in the lower atmosphere over the whole globe. And this is a much more accurate way to measure the lower levels of the atmosphere because you're measuring the whole globe. You're not measuring airports that are spaced 50 miles apart, that are subject to urban heat island impacts and everything else. We have shown you that over the last few months, going back to December, January, and February, the global average temperatures have dropped considerably. Well, in March, the global temperature compared to the 30-year average actually went negative. Now, not by much, but by negative 0.01 Celsius, the global temperatures have gone back to at the 30-year average or slightly below. Now, that's pretty remarkable, but it's no surprise. It's no surprise, and it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. It will be to some, but it shouldn't be any surprise because we have seen the sea surface temperatures across the globe cool off, and La Nina in the Pacific's one big reason for that. But these are some pretty impressive numbers. The global tropospheric temperatures, tropospheric just means from the surface up to jet stream level. So as you look at the oceanic temperatures, they've dropped 0.07 degrees Celsius, the lowest since 2013. So that's been a while. Now the tropics, basically 20 north and 20 south, right along just north and south of the equator, there's been a significant drop in sea surface temperatures, the coldest since 2012. Now we talk about 2012 a lot because that was a really strong La Nina. So this La Nina that we're in right now has worked to cool off global temperatures. Now the exact thing opposite happens in El Ninos. When the sea surface temperatures in the oceans go up during El Ninos, the global temperatures go up. Again, it's really not rocket science. Australia just went through the coldest March since the coldest period since August 2014. So why are the global temperatures dropping? It's not because of the pandemic. It's not because people are driving cars less or flying less. This La Nina started before the pandemic. So when you go and look at sea surface temperatures and you compare them now to where they were a year ago, it's quite remarkable. This is the sea surface temperatures as of Friday. And you can see the subtropical Pacific and along the eastern areas of the Pacific continues to be colder than average. La Nina continues, but also notice that the sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic are dropping here. In the South Pacific, they're dropping. The Indian Ocean, they're dropping as well. The whole ocean sea surface temperatures, basically not everywhere, but in some of the key areas have dropped. And if you compare a year ago, this is a year ago at the exact same time. Look at the difference. Look at all the orange a year ago to the blue now. Last year and where we are now. What I want to show you a little bit of, in last year at this time, you see this little patch of blue? This is when we started seeing signs of La Nina forming. And we saw this whole area of the Pacific in a year go from that to this. And that affects global temperatures. As we have talked about in earlier podcasts, the tropics are key because that is where the most energy and the most water vapor in the globe resides. In the equatorial regions, 10 degrees north and south of the equator. That's where a lot of the energy that drives our weather and our climate. So when we have these changes in sea surface temperatures, it is a big deal. It affects everything globally. So real interesting to see this kind of drop to negative territory that hasn't happened in quite a while, and we'll see whether or not those trends continue. They probably will, but what is counterintuitive, and this is something to remember for the summer, is that colder sea surface temperatures in North America, the effect on North America when the Pacific is colder is actually for the land masses to be warmer. It sounds counterintuitive, but if you have less water vapor in the air because of the colder sea surface temperatures in the Pacific, you have an easier time making it warmer on the land. So that's why the spring and summer is likely going to be warmer than normal, while the sea surface temperatures are colder than normal. So you have to balance all those things in. So if it ends up being a hot summer and you say, Don, you said the Pacific is colder, well, that's exactly what happens. When the Pacific is colder, land masses are warmer in North America. Thanks for listening and watching the Day Weather Podcast. We'll see you on